What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody feeling this evening, man? We're back. Another episode, another Saturday, man. Got an amazing panel lined up here, as you guys can see. Got double guests this week. So, we didn't have any guests last week, which was a very rare occurrence here at the Shop Podcast. So, we had to double it up this week. So, we got a first time guest amongst one of the returning guests that we always see here on the Shop Podcast. Always love to see you guys in the chat. How lovely you guys to join us this evening. Once again, hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already. The link is on Twitter, so go follow us all there. Appreciate you guys' continued support here at the Shop Podcast. But let's go ahead and get to these guests. That's really what we're here for. You guys know who we are. You guys know who we are on the panel. So let's get to these guests. So we're gonna start with our first time guest. Now, this gentleman I'm a new fan of and everything that they're doing. Shout out to their podcast. He'll get into all of that, but I'll go ahead and let you break down. Shout out to you, Ham Solo, for joining us. Let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
What's cracking, everybody? This is Ham Solo 05 Gaming. You can find me on Twitter at Ham Solo 05 Gaming. But if you want to check me out on YouTube, check out TSWS Gaming. You'll find me on that channel doing various different kinds of shows. I recently had Pong Soul on Behind Them Sticks. Same with Everborn. He was actually one of my earlier episodes back when I used to only do recordings. Now I actually have it on live every Tuesday and Thursday, 9 p.m. Unless I have a special time, depending on like the guest, if he has a certain need or whatnot, because not everybody's available at 9 p.m. But so like for instance, this Thursday I got King David on at I believe 6 p.m. and then I got Miles Dompierre on Tuesday at 9 p.m. So come holler at me, check me out. Yeah, come holler at me, check me out, learn about the people that you follow on Twitter. This is a safe place that I create to give people their chance to open up, let me know about what they've been up to with gaming and how long they've been in it and where they started from, and kind of interested in seeing, where they think gaming is going and what they do like and what they don't like about gaming. So all different kinds of stuff. Check me out.
Appreciate you, Ham. Once again, guys, all his information down in the description below. Please go follow him. If you do support us here at the Shop Podcast, let us know. Support him as well, man. Appreciate you once again, Ham, for hanging out with us, man. Awesome people. Shout out to the whole podcast over there. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Everborn. Fresh off the long vacay, man. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
First and foremost, sir. How you feeling? How everything been going? I mean, it's been a huge weekend gaming. Glad to have you here. Fresh off the trip and everything. How everything been going?
I'm good, man. And it was actually a super short trip. We did a red eye on Friday, came back on Tuesday, back to work Wednesday. Because ain't nobody got time for that. But no, I've been back, and we all knew that this was coming, like February, right? With all of these games coming out, and I have not even gotten to Sifu or Forbidden West because I was still playing Horizon Zero Dawn. And then, it's like Elden Ring crept out of nowhere, and I have some unpopular opinions about that. I don't know if we will talk about it later, but man, to say the least, I am not a Souls guy. But we could talk more about that later. But as far as where you can find me, I am Everborn Saga everywhere. That's PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, Oculus, or Meta Quest. That's the dumbest name ever. But Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, but everbornsaga.com, where you can get these books that we're making. And we have officially just shipped out or sent out all of our digital rewards. So if you supported the Redlands campaign for Everborn, check your mailbox right now. That book is in your email. And we will be shipping out the physical copies starting next week.
Awesome. Awesome, man. Appreciate you, man. The man wears many hats. If you can't ascertain from that bit of information, man. Appreciate you once again hanging out, taking you a little bit of time here every Saturday, man. He's been on the show before, but like you said, his family. He comes in, goes in the fridge, gets what he wants to drink. You know how it is, right? You know
That's
how
right.
things go here. So appreciate you, family. Appreciate you, Everborn, hanging
I'm
out
like
with us.
bruh man from Martin.
Yeah, yeah, and shout out to K Asante as well. We don't want to
Fifth
forget.
flow.
Okay, you know, Asante will probably pop in here at some point a little bit later on. Shout out to K Asante, part of the Gamer Circle podcast, man. So we want to show love here. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us in chat as well. I see OCD, Shansu, Cheese Snow, Zinc. Appreciate you, brother. Everybody hanging out here. So let's go ahead and go to my compadres, man. You guys know who we are. But we go around the panel every single week. We're gonna throw this over to you, Pong. How you been, brother? Busy, busy, busy week. Super busy.
Busy week, real life busy as always, and then you throw gaming on top of it, man, things get crazy. So yeah, no, it's been a fantastic week. Obviously a great way to end the week to have Elden Ring drop to generational type scores, which is pretty crazy. And again, me not being the Souls guy, the guy who's tried many times, and I said from the beginning this would be my last attempt, and here we are. So enjoying my time with the open world. It's definitely a much different type of Souls experience, at least from my perspective. And so I'm enjoying it. But yeah, man, what a heck of a week. I've been getting down and dirty with some NBA 2K as always. Of course, I spent all that money on my team, so I've got to use them, right? So still doing that. Before Elden Ring dropped, I'm back rocking and rolling on Cyberpunk 2077. So 250 plus hours first run through. So we're still rocking and rolling on that. But Elden Ring's got me right now. But man, a lot of good news, a lot of good topics tonight. So let's get down to business. Plus, we got two fantastic guests this week in Ham and Everborn. Everborn, it's been much too long, brother, since we podcasted together. And congratulations to you as well. I said it to you on Twitter, but obviously like to do it live. And then, of course, Ham, who I had a fantastic interview with. Please go check out his work over on his channel. He's running a great show with great guests. So please go check him out. But yeah, this is going to be a great show. Let's get down to business, PTK, please.
Appreciate you, man. Once again, always bringing the energy. We were talking pre-game about you. Like I said before, nothing but roses, all flowers here on the Shop Podcast, man.
I'm blushing.
You, Pong.
I'm blushing.
Oh man. Oh, here we go.
Stop it.
No, it's all good, man. Appreciate
I mean, it's like sitting in those like old school Buicks or whatnot. That's what it feels like talking to Pong. You just kicking back in like an old school car, just kicking back.
Sir, did you just call me old?
To your boy.
Ham, did you just call me old? Wait, I'm gonna have to take back everything I said about your show.
See, you're seeing the true side of Pong Soul. He just picked that apart. That's the true Pong. You're getting the real deal Pong today. Front and
I'm
center.
just messing. Thanks, Ham. Appreciate it, brother. I get exactly what you're saying.
But appreciate you guys hanging out once again. Shout out to Outbreak Podcast, Bacon Life, everybody in the chat. Once again, hit the like button, man. We appreciate you guys. So last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. So bring out your smoking jackets, the good wine, the good cognac, you know, all that good stuff. So appreciate you, Fuzz. How you doing? Coming in hot today?
Doing good. Want to welcome Ham Solo on here as well as Everborn. Congrats, Everborn. Thank you. Just so much good gaming news in these past few days or past week or so. I can't wait to get into it. But man, so glad to be here today.
Oh man, appreciate you once again, man. We're diving in right here. Hit the like button if you haven't subscribed already. If you guys want to support the Shop Podcast, you can hit the join button as well. Guys, get some cool stuff when you do that, man. As you see, Shonsu rocking the member tag in the chat. Appreciate you, brother. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's go ahead and dive right in. We have a lot to talk about. So as you guys know, we always start with the poll of the week, man. Poll of the week is something that we do here at the Shop Podcast. I put up a poll every single Monday on my Twitter, so follow me there if you have not already. And then we talk about it every Saturday here at the Shop Podcast. So this poll of the week was a very interesting one. So it was with Capcom USA announcement of Street Fighter 6 and the resurgence of the genre. Which fighting game are you looking forward to next the most? So I picked a couple options, that I thought would be, contestable. So we got Killer Instinct, we got Mortal Kombat, we got Injustice. Then I actually even gave another option. That's really Pong's option. Anytime I do other, that's for Pong. So, because I know that there's a chance that he's going to be like, "This is stupid. I'm not answering this. I'm giving my own answer." I specifically put that there for Pong, but we'll go ahead and start with our guest here. Once again, everybody in the chat, let us know how you guys feel about the poll of the week. Which option did you pick and why? So we're starting with you, Ham. You're brand new here. Got to grease the wheels, brother. So which one of those fighters are you looking for, or maybe it's the other option?
I'm gonna have to say Killer Instinct, just because it's been so long since I've seen that game, like in a new form. So that's pretty much what I'm going with. I mean, like I'm trying to remember the list itself, and if Tekken was on there or not.
No. So it was Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, Injustice, and there was an other option.
Okay, so I mean, Killer Instinct would be dope, but if I am, I guess I would actually choose the other, to be honest, and choose Tekken.
Hey, Ham, before you tell us what the other is, I don't want to gloss over Killer Instinct. It's not my choice, but if it was my choice, I would say you bring Killer Instinct back as a Smash competitor with all of these new IPs that Microsoft owns and the characters from them.
I mean, that would be very interesting as well. I mean,
So
but
kind of like
hardcore Tekken was
dark
always my
Smash.
button mashing game. That was my button mashing game for years. But I mean, Killer Instinct would be pretty dope. See some ultimate combos or whatnot go down. That'd be pretty dope to see how they leverage the new the new consoles and everything. So, I mean, very interesting. I'm wondering if they'd stick to like the ink kind of style that they had before, or if they're going to go new, kind of like Street Fighter is kind of doing right now, or at least it seems from the short little clip that we got.
Got it. So yeah, no, that's the fit for me. Now I like that idea, Everborn. I do like the versatility, and everybody always we do this Smash thing, right? Like we do this with we do it with PlayStation. You know, their attempt, they've done it one time, I believe, was at PlayStation All Stars. Was a very similar attempt at doing that, and we do this with Xbox. So that is a very, very compelling argument. I think a better idea would just be a mashup with something else. Obviously, the perfect mashup for me is Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct, but I obviously think that's way like super left field, like way left field. So
unless Microsoft buys NetherRealm.
I mean, well, see, you hear that chuckle? That's Fuzzy over there. That's that goddamn boss laugh he has over there because he's he's reading his tea leaves trying to figure things out.
Well, you heard about Ed Boon and what he said this week, right?
No, I didn't hear.
Okay, so he basically confirmed they're working on a new game, and it's not Mortal Kombat, and it's not Injustice.
And if he talked about it, he'd get in a lot of trouble.
And he said it all makes sense, but I can't say anything more, otherwise I'll get in trouble.
What?
Yes, sir. And we know Ed Boon in the past has said that he would drop doing Mortal Kombat to do a Killer Instinct. He has said that in the past. He loves Killer Instinct.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, am I the only one though that didn't see Killer Instinct coming though? I mean, I see the list here, but I mean, I felt like that was going to have to come back with as many people that are still making that game relevant, with as old as I mean, it hasn't came out with anything new in a while that I know of. But it's still talked about, especially on the Xbox side. And Xbox loves to do their own thing now. They ain't trying to mess with nobody for no kind of, possible exclusivity. They want to do stuff in-house now. So, like, to be able to see a Killer Instinct, I felt was kind of obvious, but to each their own.
Yeah. No. So we'll throw this over to Everborn because I mean we kind of piggybacked off his idea. And once again, chat, let us know what you guys are at on this. Once again, poll of the week every single Monday. So let us know how you guys feel about this. Shout out to She Snow, made a great point in the chat down there. But where you at? I don't know if you want to elaborate on that idea, Mr. Everborn.
Yeah. So I think because I think Killer Instinct is ripe for it, and they really started last generation's Killer Instinct, where they had Iron Galaxy working on it, and then the other studio that got
Double
bought.
Helix.
Helix.
So one of them got bought by Amazon, and the other one, but really, they tried this new thing where the game was free, but you would buy the individual characters, right? Or buy the characters you wanted to play as. And I thought it was a super interesting idea. And so this idea of bringing on new characters, having a base game, and turning it into sort of a service-based game. And a lot of people roll their eyes when they hear service-based games, but like when you think about it, like fighters were really the first service-based games, right? And when the reason I say that is when you think of a service-based game today, you think of Destiny, you think of Fortnite, you think of these games where the whole point is to continue playing it over and over again, whether it's PvP or PvE, and there isn't much to it, but it lives based on the community around it and people enjoying it so much that they play it over and over again.
Exactly what a fighter is.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's right up Microsoft's alley to say, hey, we have all these characters, we have this IP that works in terms of like tone that will basically fit all of our characters here. So why limit it to only the KI characters? Obviously you can have them, but why not add Marcus Phoenix, Master Chief, Joanna Dark, Doom Guy, all those things, and just have it be this sort of ongoing service that is a fighter that can evolve over time. It would be the coming to fruition, the vision that they had originally when they brought it back. So, but again, that's not my pick.
No,
I'm going to go with other.
Okay.
And I would like to see Power Stone come back.
Oh, you're talking to me. You're talking to me. This is right. See, you're talking to me. That's right up my alley.
Now, just imagine it, that 2v2 or everybody for themselves, 4-man fighter running around chaos, Capcom style of polish, like that in and of itself. You bring that back. I don't know how that game sort of faded into obscurity, but no one that you talk to that played that game says, oh, it wasn't for me or it was meh. It is universally praised. And it's so chaotic. I feel like even in today's world, you bring that back and you have a hit on your hands. So if we're talking about a fighting game, that is what I would love to see come back.
Power Stone was amazing. I played that game till my hands literally hurt, till I got beat off the controller. When mom was calling me to go do something else, I played Power Stone all day with my little brother, like literally all day, every day.
The Dreamcast was so good.
Oh, it was so amazing. Such an amazing, underrated console. But no, I agree. Power Stone is in chat. Let us know how you guys feel about this as well. We'd like to hear you guys' input on this. I see Sheesh Snow in the chat, Boba Fett as well, Zinc. Yeah, I know Zinc. I love Power Stone too, brother. So we're gonna go ahead and
point me to somebody who didn't like Power Stone, and that tells you they should bring it back.
We talked about this, and this is right up the I think we talked about Capcom recently as well. We were talking about Japanese companies, and we had that discussion, but that's a crown jewel to me, and that's that. So people always compare, and I know this may be blasphemy for you, Saga, but people do the Sega Capcom thing. I actually lean a little towards Capcom really because of Power Stone, in my opinion. Like, I love Sonic, and I'm a Sega kid, and I'll always be a Sega kid, but like, if I'm choosing like the catalog, I know Sega has some old stuff that like it's hard to top, but like Power Stone is just so unique in my opinion,
Well, listen, take my Sega, because I don't consider myself an Xbox or a Sony fanboy or Nintendo, but I'm a Sega fanboy. So you have to take what I say about Sega with a grain of salt, because I will, if they ever come back and make a console, I will be console warring again. Like the child that I was 30 years ago, right? But that being said, if Xbox and Phil or Microsoft Gaming, I should say, really wanted to make a splash, Capcom's IPs are in a better place than Sega's are. And even the ones that you have to bring back, it's not like you're bringing them back from the 16-bit era. So you have something to go on. But they have, obviously Resident Evil prints money, Monster Hunter prints money, Street Fighter will print money. These are things that they can make. They've got Devil May Cry. You bring back Mega Man when you want. These are things that they could do. My issue with, it's a sad truth, right? Because my dream is I want Sega to have a console home again, right? So this is why I hope that Microsoft and even Sony, I wouldn't be as happy. But I found out last night that Mark Cerny used to work for Sega. Fun fact. Yeah, and the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog was apparently going to quit, and he was working in Japan. And Cerny was the one who convinced him to come over to Sega of America and make the game Sonic 2. And they threw out what they were working on for Sonic 2, and that ended up becoming Sonic CD later on. So the creator of Sonic, or one of the principal creators of Sonic, so it may not have been the main creator, but one of the principals on Sonic was convinced by Mark Cerny, who worked for Sega at the time, to come over to the America offices where he could have free reign and not sort of be told what to do. Because in the original Sonic, they would not let anyone, the developers, put their name in the credits. They could only do nicknames, which was a weird thing. So he said, "Don't quit. Come over to the America offices. We'll let you make what you want." Nice. So that I learned that yesterday. So I'm just sharing it with the world. But like I say, I don't know if Microsoft actually wants to play in that region. If we're looking at their acquisition history, if we're looking at what they're doing, it seems like the identity that they have created for themselves is, we are the premier Western publisher. You want a shooter, you want an RPG, you want a racer, this is where you look, right? And after Activision Blizzard, I wonder if maybe their next acquisition is something like Valve or another Western publisher. It seems like they tried to crack it for 20 years. It didn't work. And maybe they just say, we don't want to spend money in a market that we obviously don't understand. That sucks for what I want. But I don't know if Microsoft actually at this point wants to even play in that world. Not that they don't want to play in that world, but do they want to buy a publisher in that world?
Yeah. Interesting concept. So
but if they did, it would probably be Capcom. That would get the biggest, like when you talk about the waves that like if tomorrow Microsoft bought Sega, everybody would kind of be like, that's kind of expected. Their relationship is like that. But you want to talk about the Twitter tiers and disrupt the industry, it would be Capcom, and people would be gnashing teeth and pulling out hair and crying foul and all those things. And I would have popcorn, so I'd be all for it. But yeah, I think they would, if they do want to go in that region and Capcom and Sega are available, I think that unfortunately for me, they would go for Capcom. So you're not far off, is what I'm saying.
All right. No. Once again, I do appreciate the breakdown. Once a great takes all around here, people. That's what you're gonna get here at the Shop Podcast. Appreciate you, everyone. Thank you so much, brother. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you. We're gonna throw this over to you, Pong. Get your quick breakdown on what choice you made. Did you pick the option that I set aside for you this week?
Of course I did. And the minute you had Everborn on here, I knew what he's going to go with, and I knew it was going to be the same as me. Of course, it's Power Stone. Yeah, Power Stone has to come back. Power Stone has been missing, like Everborn said, inexplicably for too long, right? There is no reason why that game has not come back. It's supposedly on that leaked Capcom roadmap as one of the games they are going to bring back, reboot. And I hope that's the case. But yeah, no, Power Stone is definitely the one. Now, obviously, Killer Instinct would be amazing and awesome. And I really hope that there is something to this Ed Boon thing, or that other rumor that was floating around, the possibility that one of the Japanese developers like Bandai Namco was working on it. either way, Killer Instinct needs to come back as well. It's a beloved franchise, and Xbox fans have been calling it for a long time. And Phil said that he wants to do it. They were just trying to find the right studio to get it done. So
exactly.
So whether it's NetherRealm, whether it's Bandai Namco, whether it's somebody else that they got to do it, I think Killer Instinct is coming back. I think those rumors are real. Obviously, Special Nick, had stated that he had heard it is already in development. So let's hope that's the case. But I want Power Stone. I mean, again, it's already been said between you and Everborn. It's just such a unique fighter. It's like Smash Brothers, but different. And that chaos that you get with the 4 players in those arenas is nothing like it, especially with all the objects and the special weapons that you get. I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like with today's gen, right? Today's consoles, it would be absolutely freaking amazing. That particle effects they could have on the screen.
Come on,
God,
don't do that to
so
me.
good. Oh yeah. So definitely. And as far as Everborn's talk about Capcom and Sega, don't give up hope, Everborn, because the one thing Sega has that Capcom does not is PC developers. And Microsoft and Xbox want PC developers. They want more in the PC market, and that would definitely give a leg up to Sega. So that's definitely something.
Man, it is the dream, and I've already promised everyone on Twitter. I got about 2,000 followers. The day it happens, I will go to those steps in the Bronx where they filmed the Joker, and I'll do that dumbass dance on those steps.
I can't wait. Celebration. But are you going to wear the suit? You got to put the suit on.
I might even paint my face.
Oh wow, nice! You going all the way? Yeah, you got to go full. Got to go full. So, awesome.
It'll be worth it.
Awesome. All right. No Pong. I don't know if you were.
Yeah. I wrapped up with that.
All right.
Just reigniting hope there for the Sega, because I do think that they actually do have the leg up. So yeah, no, we're good.
Okay,
we're good.
All right, cool. All right. Well, I do agree.
But, Pong, do you think Microsoft wants to play in that region?
Yes, I do. I really do. I think this is it to reach those 2 to 3 billion people. I think they do want to have some type of Xbox big presence over there. And I think that one of those publishers are next after this gets done with Activision Blizzard. And I think they start investing in smaller developers over in Korea as well, because that's an up and coming emerging market. But yes, I think that they do. And I think that they have to have a big splash. And so I do think that means a publisher from over there.
Right. Because for me, if I'm doing it, and I won't take too long because I know we got to move on, but if I'm doing a deal in Japan, whether it's a Sega or a Capcom, I'm purchasing them and then making them the head of Xbox Japan.
Yes.
Right.
Instantaneous.
Absolutely. I was going to say.
Right.
Yep.
And they are now running like for Microsoft Gaming, they are sort of in charge of that region. And they are now, because they're a publisher, they are securing deals for Japanese games that you could not make happen before.
100% Everborn. That's exactly how it goes.
That's always been the play
to Phil.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's always been a play to me. To me, that's always been a plan. And we've talked about this many times in many versions here on the Shop Podcast. Go back and check the archives. That's always kind of been what we've hinted at, right? They've tried different ways. They've tried the third-party deals, didn't work, for various different reasons. They tried to, various different ways over the years. They actually had great relationships and still do and maintain quite a bit with a lot of Japanese devs. But that's going to, getting a publisher right away, taking a bite out of the market, kind of kicking the door in, so to speak, is going to be, in my opinion, the best way to get in. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz, before we wrap up this first topic here, man. So where you at on the poll of the week, brother?
I voted other as well, but let me explain. All right, so shout out to K Mega, because he's one of the first people I've heard bring up this idea, and it seemed to even have some traction between Ed Boon and Phil on Twitter a long time ago, and that's to have a Killer Instinct versus Mortal Kombat crossover, basically Killer Kombat or Mortal Instinct, however you want to call it, type of thing. Much like there was like Marvel versus Capcom, do Killer Instinct versus Mortal Kombat. That's the first choice. And then a second choice, primarily because King of Fighters 15 came out, and looking over the archives of SNK games, have a Capcom versus SNK, which essentially will be all of their fighting characters from all the SNK games versus, all of the Capcom games, primarily, your Street Fighter characters that now I think there's probably about 50 or 60 of them if you were to have all of them that they've had from, the original Street Fighter all the way up to 5 so far. So those two combos, either one of those, that's what I would like as the next fighting game to come out, but leaning more towards like a Killer Instinct versus Mortal Kombat, just because that would be a pretty cool dynamic, and we would get another Killer Instinct, and there would be a lot of buzz behind that as well.
Fuzzy, you made my hand sweat right there when you said versus Capcom, because it reminds me of Dreamcast playing Marvel versus Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that game so much. It was just so good.
Yeah.
All the crazy like special attacks that you could do and combinations that you could put together in that. Oh man, it was so fire. Those those versus games were really good.
Yeah.
I love that concept as well. Go ahead.
Not that everything needs to be acquired, but if Microsoft could find a way to secure NetherRealm and the rights to Killer Instinct, they'd overnight basically like own the Western fighting market, because they'd have Killer Instinct and the largest fighter, which is
Mortal
Kombat, and then you could do crossovers and then do games on their own. It would be a big deal, and they'd now officially have a presence. So, and which would be interesting because Sony owns Evo, but they actually don't have their own fighting franchises. It's a super interesting thing, and I like this idea that the world of fighting is coming back. But again, as a premier Western publisher, they could own the number one fighting franchise in the world, as well as have someone to develop and build out Killer Instinct. Could be, if possible, it could be a big deal.
Yeah, we've definitely had that conversation as well here at the shop. Like, there's so many possibilities. I just want to see Killer Instinct come back in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, we've heard about the rumors. There's a couple floating around from different people, different sources, but ultimately, I think we're going to see something. And I guess the main thing here, if we just putting a bow tie on it, fighters are back. The genre's back. I'm loving the fact that it's getting this new healthy energy. I love to see. I think last year was like platformers, right? This year is fighters. Like there's a renaissance happening right now, people. So I think this is super awesome. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. And this is a great segue, since we were already talking about fighters, and we're going to be talking about the reveal of Capcom Street Fighter 6. Now, it was a very, very short reveal. We didn't get much. It was basically, hurry up and wait kind of a situation, a short 10, 12-second clip of Ryu and another character.
Looking like Zangief.
Exactly. Looking hella wide body, looking like a brand new fridge out of a Sears catalog. I don't know what once again, we'll get into that. I don't want to get too far off topic here. So we're going to start with you, Everborn. One, obviously, we talked about this previously last week. What do we want to see? Everybody was already leaning towards Street Fighter. There was some information out previously saying Street Fighter. Whether or not that was even true, glad it ended up being Street Fighter. So one, where are you at with just the announcement of itself, seeing that it is coming back in some way, shape, or form? And what do you think about the actual reveal of itself? Like how the game was actually revealed?
Reveal is a very generous word for what we got.
Well, debut. I don't really have another. I don't know what that was.
It was basically a animated GIF, right? That's kind of all we got, right? But we have to wait. We have to wait till June. I think my biggest thing with this, whatever it was, this announcement, that's all it was. It wasn't a reveal. My biggest deal is that for some weird reason, because they didn't show a logo, everyone seemed to default to this is going to be console exclusive to PlayStation. And I'm trying to understand where that logic comes from. Right? I said it on Twitter, but absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So there's no logo, And if we're just going to assume things, why don't I just assume that since there was no logo, it won't be released anywhere? Or how about we assume it's going to come to the Amiga or the Atari 2600 because there were no logos. So let's just make stuff up, right? So this is the thing. We don't know. I'm not saying it will or won't be exclusive, but the idea that there was no logo, so therefore it's coming to PlayStation only, is a little bit ridiculous to me. So whatever happens in June, but we have to look at the context as to why Street Fighter V was exclusive. Because remember, Microsoft's relationship with Capcom is not like Microsoft's relationship with Square Enix. Microsoft and Capcom have a very good relationship. They almost bought them if Resident Evil 2 remake and Monster Hunter didn't make them a lot of money. Capcom could already be a part of Microsoft. So their relationship is great. And whenever they make a game, it is very rare that they'll say this game will be exclusive to PlayStation. Street Fighter V was a big deal, but Capcom came to Microsoft to help them fund it. And Microsoft wasn't in a position to spend the money that Capcom wanted. And Sony basically paid to have that game built. Now, does that mean Sony has Street Fighter exclusivity rights in perpetuity? I doubt that, right? So Street Fighter V was a it sucks because it's the only Street Fighter we got all of last generation. It's a new generation. It's a new day. And I don't think anything's set in stone in terms of exclusivity. So I think it will, there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Nothing's said and done yet. So if the ink is not dry, I think Microsoft will pay whatever money they need to get it on the platform, because it was a real black eye that it wasn't there, because it really is like, and no pun intended, because I know King of Fighters 15 is out, but Street Fighter is the king of fighters, right? And so if you want your console as being seen as the place to play, Capcom's has never done Microsoft the way Square has, right? Resident Evil comes out. Sure, Sony gets the marketing rights, but it's still day and date, right? Same thing with Devil May Cry. And we could say Monster Hunter, but PlayStation doesn't have Monster Hunter Rise. That's a Nintendo thing. So I think that, I think it'll be multi-plat if I had to guess. But if it's not, we just don't know that yet. And I don't think anyone can say that for sure it's going to be a PlayStation console exclusive.
And that's fair. And I like that breakdown. Chat as well, if you guys follow me up on this, I love that breakdown, because ultimately at the end of the day, like you said, just the lack of a logo doesn't mean that it's going to be exclusive. I can't
doesn't mean
say
that it's not, but
I know it doesn't mean that it's not either. I can't say that Sony doesn't have some type of, I want to say inside track. Like if there were like dibs on this, I would say that Sony wouldn't be the first person that they would go to and say, hey, you guys want this? So there's that as well. So I can't really say that wouldn't happen, especially knowing where Sony is going. Wouldn't this be a feather in the cap for Spartacus? Something like this? Wouldn't this be a feather in a cap for their service to say, hey, we're going to debut this. This is dropping in, Spartacus or something like that. So that would be cool. They got a previous relationship. They helped fund the previous one, so there's a lot of moving pieces here, a lot of moving parts, and we'll get into that. But I'm going to go ahead and go with you, Ham, our first-time guest here. And once again, chat, let us know how you guys feel about this topic here as well. So where you at on this, Ham? What do you think about the reveal, Street Fighter 6? You excited for it? Where you at?
Man, so I thought when I seen Gears of War, I was like, man, these characters are thick. Like, these characters are extra thick. And when I was playing Gears of War, that's what I thought at all times.
Got to be careful when you use that term on this review, Ham.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so I seen this really short, kind of like leaving my head itching kind of reveal. of just like the thickest humans I have ever seen. And I was just like, oh my goodness, these dudes look huge and realistic. And it kind of gave me a weird kind of like, I wonder what direction that they're turning this game. Like, if they're willing to do this, I wonder if they're turning it like completely 3D or if it's just gonna stick to its roots.
That's a good point.
Like if they're willing to change like the whole way that they look, like what else are they gonna be changing about this game? So I'm just kind of interested in seeing what it is, watching as it gets more of a trailer put together, I guess, because that to me that was just not enough. Like that was really short, small. You seen two people looking, grunting, and it was like, all right, well, I wonder what a fight is going to actually look like. But for me personally, I'm not the biggest into fighters, so I'm not going to just cap off and say, oh man, it looks like this or it looks like that. Like I'm just generally just kind of like sitting, eating my popcorn, wondering how this is going to break down. But I tell you what, if they allow me to bust down a car, I'll buy it.
You got to put the OG Mercedes Benz in there to break down. Or,
That's
you're not
right.
getting any money from Ham. No, sir, Capcom. So appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for that breakdown. But no, I do agree. There's a lot of good points there as well. So that's an interesting perspective. And I didn't even think of it that way as far as the character model design. Like, I know that was kind of a big deal. Some people made it a big deal. Some people didn't. We just have to see more of the game design. But that could mean a change in the fundamental game design as well, based on the way the characters look. I didn't put two and two together, so that's a great catch, Ham. So we actually gonna throw this over to you, Fuzz, on Street Fighter 16. And we talked about this the previous show. We actually kind of gave predictions on what it would be, Resident Evil, Street Fighter. So I think we all leaned in on Street Fighter, if I remember correctly. So just where you at with the overall, once again, it wasn't much of a damn reveal. It was kind of just a quick, they could have just put that in a Twitter post and just called it a day. Really, at the end of the day. But where you at, from what you've seen, and does it change your perspective or, raise more questions as to what this game's going to look like?
Well, it definitely raises a lot of questions, and Ham had a good point as far as like if they're going to change up the style, because rumor had it before they were going to go of a more realistic look for Street Fighter V before they kind of fell on finances and Sony had to kind of pitch in type of thing. So if this was what they were planning for 5 and it being more of a realistic look, that's definitely going to be a noticeable change for a lot of people that are used to like the more like 2D cartoon or more of like animation style look that they've done in the past. And I don't know how the community is going to receive it. I mean, generally everybody kind of goes along with Street Fighter as far as the changes that they've had over the years, but everybody's already arguing over the logo. So
Lord, yeah.
It's like, oh, that's more of like a stamp and not the normal Street Fighter graffiti style logo, and people are upset about that. But yeah, the big thing is fighters are back for the most part, and like you guys had hinted to earlier, it was like platformers last year, now fighters this year. Between the ongoing support for like things like Dragon Ball Fighters, and you got Guilty Gear, you got King of Fighters just recently came out. So having Street Fighter finally come back, hopefully it's multi-platform.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. I guess we'll find out this summer or sometime in June or whenever. But I think the big thing is just going to be, what is this game going to look like? What are the characters going to look like? Because if that trailer is, or quick intro or whatever you want to call that, 6 seconds or 16 seconds worth of whatever, if that's any indication of what the characters are going to look like, I could foresee the community kind of being split on the overall look. But definitely interesting. I don't know. My gut's telling me that it's going to be multi-plat, but I'm hearing some rumors in the background from trusted sources that it's like, oh yeah, PlayStation Money had this one too, and it's like that just seems weird. That I can see first right of refusal type of deal where it's like Capcom be like, hey, you guys want to give us more funding towards this for 6? The only real advantage I could see Sony having is that they paid for that like that esports arena thing, or not arena, but
The
like
Evo?
Evo for like all the fighting games and stuff. And I could see this being, crown jewel for that organization. But yeah, I don't know. I fingers crossed it's multi-platform, because when it was just on PlayStation 5 or on PlayStation as far as Street Fighter 5, the beginning launch or the launch wasn't all that great. Connection stuff was terrible. Character list was short, but over the years they've kind of fixed and broadened that game a good bit. But yeah, I'm just hoping it's multi-plat this time around and cross-play, which that would be a big bonus as well if they can do cross-play type of deal. But yeah,
You know what I'd love to do if it
What's
is
that?
crossplay?
What?
You just see a guy like a PlayStation or an Xbox guy, and they're talking smack on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just say, "See me in the Street Fighter,"
Yeah,
and then you go and handle it that way
yeah.
instead of arguing on Twitter.
Or do 1v1s in Call of Duty or
This
something.
is what I'm saying, and stream it. Let everybody
Yeah.
see.
Hash it out.
I like that idea.
Like a rap battle almost. That's
Exactly.
hilarious. That's hilarious. No, I love
Fuzzy,
it.
you kind of hit on something I was talking about, though, that like the style and like the way, like I'm just wondering what it's going to look like when somebody gets hit in that game or whatnot, because those hands are like the size of an Xbox mini fridge, and like once you get hit, I'm wondering how, like, if there's going to be blood all over the place, because it looks like a mixture between Street Fighter and like that new like esports boxing game at the same time. Like so I'm really interested on how that's gonna turn out, like, or if that's just like an intro kind of thing.
Yeah.
What would be cool if they have like character deformation, kind of like if you remember playing the arcade and you lost and you saw what your character looked like, where they had like a swollen eye and like a broken nose. If they have that kind of
Street Fighter, like really, you have to be like, you can't. It's not for the faint of heart, because the crap talking that they do when they beat you, you start looking in your soul, like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane. It's insane. So let's go ahead and let's actually throw this over to Pong before we switch lanes here, man. Appreciate you guys in the chat, man, hanging out. Glad you guys are all having fun. Shout out to you, Jasper Gaming. Always glad to see you in here, brother. Once again, hit the like button. Let everybody know the shop podcast is live right now. Got Ham Solo live, got Everborn, got the boys. We're chilling, hanging out, kick the feet up, man. Just talking games. So hang out with us. Come join us if you guys do not mind. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. Get your opinion, man. Street Fighter now. Obviously, the elephant in the room is the exclusivity thing. I think we've actually talked about this in DM a couple times, but we're finally gonna get the your big opinion here on that, and just the overall opinion on the, I guess, reveal. We're not really calling it that anymore, I guess. but go ahead, Pong.
Worst countdown reveal in history. I'm not saying a lot. Okay?
I knew that.
Look, I know what they were trying to do. They had a tournament going at the same time, but really, you're not even going to link the tournament. You're going to try to keep this as a surprise, even though everybody knows it's ending at the same time. And then your own reveal page as a countdown gets done and your tournament is running over. You're not even going to say, hey, we'll be right with you. Just got to wait. None of that. You're just going to leave it blank. So all of us that were streaming it that night are just sitting there looking at the page going, yeah, did you forget about your own countdown, Capcom? What's going on here? What is this, a joke? Other than that, it wasn't much of a reveal. It was a teaser. I think the no logos on the bottom, actually Everborn, means this is going to be a free-to-play mobile game. I think that's what we're getting on a Street Fighter 6. I think that's the route they're going.
with gotcha mechanics.
Correct. Look, it wasn't much of a reveal, but the character design is interesting. I thought that, and they brought in a little bit of the color flare, kind of energy around it at the end, around each of the characters. So it seems like they're going to carry over some of maybe that artistic style that they had in 5 into this one. But I definitely could see a much more realistic, stylized kind of fighter out of this. Street Fighter is interesting because everybody knows Street Fighter because it's been around for so long, and it really is the most well-known fighter outside of Mortal Kombat. I think those two you could argue are kind of 1A and 1B, right? I don't see much difference, but here you got Mortal Kombat selling, tens of millions of copies, right? And this thing has been on an upwards trajectory. They've done these full-blown story campaigns, all this kind of stuff. And here you got Capcom with Street Fighter, and Street Fighter 5 is exclusive to PlayStation and it takes a long time, but it winds up being the best-selling Street Fighter of all time at like 5.5 million copies. Like, Capcom has to be looking over at Mortal Kombat and
like, say, what the hell?
hey, we're here. We're like, we started this craze, right? We're like one of the original OGs, and why aren't we getting these kind of sales figures? So, at the time when they made that deal with Sony, Fuzzy just brought it up too. Capcom was in a terrible financial situation, right? And that was kind of why the Sony money was taken, because they needed that, at that time. But Capcom's in a much, much different place now, right? They are doing extremely well. So as far as exclusivity goes, yes, Sony could have money handed this. We've heard over the past year and a half behind the scenes that Sony has been money hatting a ton of things that we aren't even aware of yet. And I kind of, we all kind of expect that, especially to answer to what Xbox is doing, in their own way, because they can't, ever match one for one what they are doing, but they can do their usual, and they can ramp that up a little bit and make these deals for big time games and big time names to and continue to enhance their ecosystem as well. So that's certainly a possibility, but I think from Capcom's standpoint, it doesn't make any sense for Capcom. Capcom has to be looking over and saying the same thing we just were talking about. Look, fighters are they're on a resurgence right now, right? Why would we lock down our number one fighting game, a fighting game that is known worldwide, while this regrowth is happening in the fighting world? Why would we lock that down to one system, even for a bag of money, when we really don't need that bag of money this time around? That's kind of common sense in what we all think. And then, there's the business side of things, and we don't know the numbers and we don't know the internal dialogue. But at the same time, just from the outside looking in, why would you not want to try to get Street Fighter to 10 million this time, right? Why would you not? Especially with, again, the fighting genre coming back. There's a chance for you, if you spread it over all the different platforms, maybe even Switch as well, you could get Street Fighter to that 10 million mark maybe this time if you do it right. Now, Street Fighter 5 came out in a terrible state, right? And that's why it took them nearly, 6 years to get that at 5.5 million, is because it was broken when it came out, and it kind of tarnished that name. So if they come back this time, they've got all this extra money, they've got these resources, they can put the time needed into this game and make sure that it's a polished Street Fighter this time around, like we used to get from Capcom. Then why not give it to all the platforms and go for that 10 million mark? Because I think you could do that in this market. We've got more gamers now than we ever have in the history of gaming. These types of games should be breaking records that normally they wouldn't have in the past, just from sheer numbers, right? So I think that's probably what Capcom's looking at. So I expect this to go multi-plat. Again, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Sony did it, but I can't wait to see what they bring. I'm not the biggest Street Fighter fan. I'm a butt masher. Street Fighter is not really set up for butt mashing in any way, shape, or form. Mortal Kombat is set up for butt mashing. Soul Calibur is set up for butt mashing. I like those games, right? So, but understanding and respecting what Street Fighter means and what it is in the industry and the history of the gaming industry, I definitely want to see it do well. And I would like to see Capcom say, you know what, enough with this. Let's get it out to everybody, as many platforms as possible. Let's make it our best Street Fighter we've had in a decade now. And let's really crush this, because I think the time is now for that. So that's where I'm at with it. But overall, teaser was what it was. It was a simple teaser. Like everyone said, it was just a GIF basically at that point. But I think that it got the hype going. It got people talking about it, even if it's the negativity talk about like the logo or whatever else. People are still talking about Street Fighter again, which is a good thing for Capcom. So now people are going to be waiting to see in June what they really show off, and maybe we'll get a glimpse of real gameplay and what these graphics are going to look like. So overall, it is what it is. I didn't like the reveal. They didn't do a great job with it, but it still did what they wanted it to do, which is cause a stir. And we kind of figured that was going to happen. Again, like you said, PTK, we had talked about this the prior week because, and we all kind of sided because Grubb had come out and said that's what he expected. And Grubb's really good with that information. So it wasn't unexpected, but for a lot of the world, it was an exciting time because there's still a lot of Street Fighter fans out there.
Hey, one bonus, Pong. If Microsoft and if my dream comes true and we get the Microsoft plus Sega or Xbox plus Sega, maybe we get a new Virtua Fighter.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bring it on back.
That's
Bring
another one.
Anytime.
We can run that back too. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on.
I used to get busy in Virtua Fighter.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
remember how many fighting games we had back in the day when it was hot? We had the variety, the Primal Rages. I mean, we had Clay Fighter. I mean, all
Dark
these
Stalkers.
Dark Stalkers was fantastic. Oh, Eternal Champions from Sega. Yeah. I mean, just so many unique stylized fighters. I'd love to see that happen again. Again, I'm not even a fighting guy, but I love the button mash. But the animation is what I love, and there's nothing better than fighter animation when they do it right.
Anybody remember Deadly Moves for Genesis?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, remember Fighting Vipers?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yep, absolutely.
Nice. Awesome. So once again, people, before we go ahead and wrap this topic up, because we're gonna move on to the next one, and I saved the next one for last on purpose because I feel like
Bloody Roar. Bring back Bloody Roar.
Yeah, Bloody Roar was another one with the animals. But so I saved the last topic for last on purpose specifically, but ultimately I think this is the time, the renaissance for fighters, and I think we all understand that here on this podcast, and I'm excited just to see where the genre is going. Please, more. I don't play a ton of them, but I'm definitely willing to get back into them as long as they're high quality, and they're games that I like. So more of them, please. So I'm super looking forward to that, man. So we're moving on to the next topic here, chat, and we're going to be talking about this small game that came out, indie game. Maybe you guys heard of it, called Elden Ring, made by a very small company. I think maybe like 10 guys made this. I think 10 people, something like that. So, so Elden Ring came out and something happened, right? Like something happened in gaming that doesn't happen very often. A large group of people agreed on something. They agreed that the video game was amazing, almost historic. Now, there are some opinions on this. I want to embellish before I go the other direction. Now, I haven't played the game, so I reserve my opinion. I'm gonna defer to people here on the panel that have already played it and have some time in the game. I'm gonna defer to you guys, but I do want to kind of flip the coin over here, and I know where you're going, Everborn. I can hear you, bro. I can hear you already. So, but there's something else going on as well, and we'll get into this, and because I want to hear everyone's point first. Maybe we're lined up in that kind of thinking. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to start with you. We'll just start with you on this, Everborn. Where you at on Elden Ring? One, at just being this highly rated, fantastic game if you have played it, as well as on just the game of the generation type talk that it's getting.
Absolutely not the game of the generation. This game, I'm sorry, and I apologize to everybody who loves it, and it might be the best Souls game ever created. But the idea that it is the overall game of the generation, why? Where does that come from? And who said that other than people who are masochist Soulsborne fans. Like, let's just call it what it is, right?
So
like,
let me because I know you're going there, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Now,
Go ahead.
I'm
fired up.
I know you are. You came right like a damn. What do you call them damn things that you like a Dachshund or so? Not a Dachshund, but the damn Dalmatian.
I'm a damn
right out the gate.
spider monkey.
Yeah,
That's
crazy.
But
Wolverine. I do think there is I want to say this. I do think that a lot of the reviews that have come out, a lot of them were done by people that do enjoy these types of games more so than others. And that's clearly evident by the reception. Because I think there was a clear line in the sand. Like before this game came out, we all knew what type of games Dark Souls were. And it's a clear line in the sand. Either you're in or you're out. You don't really there's no in between with Dark Souls. So it's funny how things are becoming blurred. But I guess we'll get into more. I wanted to throw that in, but I guess we'll get into more detail here. But go ahead, Everborn. Finish your point, brother.
Right. I do feel like it almost seems like imagine if Halo came out and only Halo stands reviewed it. Right?
But so
and ask yourself and listen, I totally get it, right? We just praised Halo for being a Halo-ass Halo game. So if you want to praise Elden Ring for being an Elden Ring ass or a Souls-ass Souls game, then cool. I get it. More power to you. I support you. But when we talk about Elden Ring in the more broad sense, as if it is the game of the generation and it is a breath of fresh air, it's not a breath of fresh air for gaming. It may be a breath of fresh air for Souls games, but let's be clear what we're talking about, right? So when we look at any sort of major AAA release, right? So if we're talking about Halo, we're talking about Forza, we're talking about Returnal, Ratchet and Clank, Miles Morales, now Horizon that just came out. 100 reviews, 115 reviews, 150 reviews, 105 reviews, right? Elden Ring got 44 reviews on the PlayStation, 8 reviews on the Xbox, and 35 reviews on PC, right? So how can we say that, why didn't as many people review Elden Ring, right? Because it seems to me that all the people who weren't already locked into Elden Ring, those are the ones that didn't do the review. And that's why you're seeing less than half the review numbers, right? So there's that part of it. Now, if you're going to tell me this is a game of the generation type of release, what about the rest of us? There's no onboarding. So it is so esoteric that if you are not already into Soulsborne's games, none of the sort of game design language that we all come to understand, it's there. It's just like, hey, go figure it out. So it wasn't the graphics, right? Because the art style is very interesting, but the graphics are
that's never been a strong point of Souls games. Graphically,
so
Bloodborne looked great, Dark Souls the remake looked great, but in comparison to graphically intensive games, to games that we know like a Horizon.
Listen, I'm comparing it to another Souls game, which is the Demon Souls remake. It doesn't come close to that.
Everborn, just to let you know, there's been 122 total critic reviews between all the platforms.
Between all the platforms, sure, right. But I'm saying look platform specific when I'm talking about those reviews, right? Because if you look at Xbox for Halo, you're going to see 100 and whatever reviews.
Oh, yeah. If they didn't send out the review codes, right?
Right.
So they limit it. Yeah.
So we'll see, but it really does feel like, I don't know if they targeted people that were already high on it that said, okay, we're going to send you the review code. That my issue is not with Metacritic, right? I think people get too caught up in Metacritic. I'm just talking about the overall conversation.
The consistency.
Right. No. I don't care about consistency. Listen, Metacritic works, and I want all of you to do this test, right, with Metacritic before everybody cries about it. Give it a 5-point standard deviation in either direction. Tell me what Metacritic review that you saw that was more than 5 points off in any direction. 9 times out of 10, you're going to say, okay, if I add or subtract 5 points, this is what I would have given this game. So it doesn't tell you the exact score, but it gives you a barometer of how you feel about it. So I'm not mad at Metacritic because I was add that addendum, right? I am specifically focusing on people talking about, this is not a game for the general public. And I don't mean a casual game. I'm saying the story isn't there, right? There's great lore. And if I have to go look at 4 YouTube explainer videos to understand the story, then the story's it's not on the page, right? I want to know what the story is on the page. The controls aren't good, right? You have to just be like, well, Soulsborne controls always sucked, so this is a little bit better. That doesn't work for me, right? So graphics aren't the greatest. Story isn't the greatest. Controls aren't the greatest. Onboarding is non-existent, right? And so if we're just saying it's the greatest Souls game ever made, more power to you. And I hope everybody enjoys that.
Yeah. Okay.
For me, I'm going to keep playing it until Tunic comes out. But I'm sorry, the game isn't fun. It is, I'm sure, and I know there's a sense of achievement when you beat a boss, but it's so unforgiving. I walked out. I posted a clip of this. This is my first time going outside. I'm standing behind a rock. I see a horse. I say, hey, that's a guy on a horse and he's wearing golden armor. He can't see me because I'm behind the rock. He jumps over the rock, hits me with his shield, and because I'm stuck in the animation, I can't get up, and he just hits me one time. No opportunity to attack, nothing.
Should have stayed inside.
Right. And they're like, oh, this is Souls, bitch. Right? Like, let's come on. Right? This is not a fun game.
Okay, I want to talk about that a little bit.
I feel like we are saying, well, it's not supposed to be fun. And we're just excusing all of these design flaws and conflating them with charm.
You know, it's so funny because somebody's going to clip that, and then somebody in a Souls fan is going to say, oh, well, you're just bitter. You do not understand.
I suck at the game. Now, I can acknowledge that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. My point is you're spot on, though. That's the thing. Like, you're dead ass on with that breakdown because initially when I saw the reviews, I'm like, oh, this game must be amazing. Now, I'm not a big fan of Souls. I've tried Souls games over the years. I've attempted. I promise you I have. And it's just not for me. My issue is that sometimes, depending on who the audience is, they're louder than it can feel like there's more people, like there's more going on than there actually is. And I feel like that's what's going on with Elden Ring. There's a lot of prominent people talking about the game who are already Souls fans. And I feel like there's a lot of embellishment when it comes out. And once again, I haven't played the game, so this may be unfair, but just for me, when I hear game of the generation, but at the same time, I hear the game doesn't work on an entire platform. It doesn't work on PC. We killed Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk got destroyed for that. Now, once again, I get the consistency. Like you said, you don't care much about that, but like if we're talking about what dings and like what things we can take away negative from a game, we gotta keep that consistent across the board. Like that has to be a part of the analysis, right? Like you would think.
To be fair, though, the PC got broken after the patch, and there's a lot of reviewers like ACG who are upset
going back and changing their first opinions,
because the patch did break it, right? So the version they had was not having the issues that it is having now.
Right? Well, let me ask you a question to that, to add on to my slander. What is this game doing that is new for the genre, for the genre, not the genre, but the industry, taking gaming forward?
That's Pong. That's you, Pong.
Well, it's not me because I'm a Souls guy I'm not a Souls guy because I I've tried. I'll go through my history: Demon Souls, PS3, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, and Bloodborne. Okay, I gave up on all those at different varying times within those. I kept trying to go back and trying to enjoy a Souls game, and I could not. I'm in the
They're not
in the same boat.
You're not supposed to enjoy them.
However, no, that's not true, because there are people out there who like the challenge. My brother from Another
There's
Steel
also
Rain
people-
loves the challenge, and he loves that sense of accomplishment. And to them, it's not, it's not awful, right? It's not awful to die 35 times on one boss and learn your lesson.
But does that make a game of the year, though? Does that make game of the generation?
Okay, look, I can say the same thing. I can give all the slander that Everborn just had for Zelda. Okay, I can do the
Watch
same.
your mouth. Tread carefully, sir.
Yeah, look, listen.
2 hits to short breaks.
Again,
Yeah, I know,
I
right?
still respect Zelda, and for all the people who love them, but Zelda and Mario games, I could give the exact same slander that Everborn just gave. I think they're terrible games. I have zero interest in them. Okay, zero. They don't do anything. Why would anybody play Breath of the Wild when you've got 100 other Western RPGs that look and play so much better and give you so much more of an experience, right? So that's where I come from. But I still respect Zelda, but yet Zelda's one game of the year, right? And I don't come with slander because it's not for me, right? So my thing is that this is now moving the Souls genre beyond niche. Okay, over 800,000 concurrent players on Steam, over 2 times all the other Souls games combined ever. This game has moved that genre forward. I'm not talking about the industry as a whole, but that genre, it has. Now, it's a different type of RPG. And now that they've introduced the open world, that's why I said this would be my last Souls game that I try. Okay, this will be my last one to try to get into. And I'm playing through this one, and the open world has changed everything for me about this game. Does this mean I'm going to go back and play the other Souls games again? No, it does not, because I don't think I could do a Souls game now without it being open world, because the open world has changed all the mechanics, how you can actually play the game. Regular Souls veterans are playing it like original Souls games. They're going and challenging these bosses at low levels, learning if they can conquer them or not. If they can't conquer them, then they go and do other stuff and then come back to that boss. Me right now, I'm farming my level. I'm at level 40 already. I'm ahead of Steel, right? Because I'm farming. I haven't fought my first boss yet. This gives you
overpowered.
Right, but
that's actually how I play things as well. Like I do that.
I love being
time.
OP, right? I love being OP. I love getting powered up. Now, is it the same experience as to say, let's say, an Elder Scrolls? No, of course not. Completely different type of RPG. That's why I would never say I never went into this game expecting it to be like my GOAT RPG of all time ever, and it's not going to be.
But
like
a 97 should be a GOAT all time, and this is the point. Do you think?
Yes.
Do you think Pong and everybody, the entire panel and the chat, do you think Starfield will get this same level of a free pass?
Absolutely not.
No, of course not. No, of course not. And listen.
Interesting.
If you want to talk about that stuff, From Software has become a darling of the media. Okay, there's no question about it. From Software has done a fantastic job becoming masters of this certain genre, right? They created this genre, and they've become masters at reiterating upon it time and time again. But there is no doubt about it that From Software has some of that Nintendo mystique right now, where they get away with things that other games don't. You are correct.
Nintendo earned that, though.
But to this genre,
he just said that, damn it.
right. To these Souls people, right? They had this From Software has earned that respect, right? And again, whether right or wrong, at the end of the day, that's why we always go back to all these reviews are just opinions, flat out opinions by human beings. It is all subjectives, and it does not mean that everybody is going to love this game. There are Souls veterans in this community right now out here telling people, shout out to Luca as being one of them, right? She's telling people, do not pick up this game if you don't like Souls games. Chances
Why
are,
didn't any of the reviewers say that, though?
That's my problem. Because I don't think that's their job, and I think they want more people introduced to this genre. And I think there is actually a new group of people, some like myself, who are giving it another shot because of the open world aspect. And I think that other people did get caught up in the hype and really want to try to enjoy it. A lot of them are going to find out they don't, obviously, still,
That's
and a lot of them jumping in for the first time are going to be like, what, like you, Everborn, like, why would you put yourself through this? Right. That I agree with you on that standpoint. But yes, I do think the media did give this a pass in some ways. I just think that overall the game is really good. I can project. I've got about 7-8 hours in right now, barely scratch the surface, but I could project out if it continues this way. If I can get through some bosses, I would say this is a low 90s. I would not say it's a 97, but that's because I don't love Souls games.
That passes the muster of a 5-point standard deviation, right?
Correct.
5 points in any direction.
Absolutely.
So for me, when I see 97 and I see must play, that's literally why I bought it, right? Yeah. It's not that I sort of pay attention. I'm like, even if I applied my 5 points down, a 92 is still a game that I'm going to want to check out. And I succumb to the hype. My only issue is when I see a game at 97, this has nothing to do with Metacritic, but when I see a game at 97, I think this is genre defining. And not genre defining. It moves the medium forward. And in no category does this move the medium of video games forward.
How did Zelda Breath of the Wild move the medium forward?
So I can tell you, right? See, there's something about Breath of the Wild in terms of you look in any direction and you can go there. It is about building up enough courage because you can go
Elder
and fight
Scrolls
Ganon.
Did that.
But you can go and fight Ganon as soon as you leave off the mountain with the glider. Okay. Right, like at the beginning of the game, but you have to build up enough courage to be able to go and do that, right? Okay. And it is just the implementation of the climbing mechanics and all those things. So it's just the way you put this thing together. And again, there is an onboarding for Zelda, and it builds you up to that. Souls is specific. It is designed to be obtuse. It is designed to be confusing. And instead of fixing some of these things, and I'm not saying you need to make it casual, because I do think Zelda is a difficult game, Breath of the Wild at least. I'm not saying you need to make it casual. I'm not saying you need to dumb it down, but there are some things that in any other game would be considered a design flaw, and people are like, well, it's just Souls. It's not supposed to work, right? And this is sort of my personal issue with it. If you are a Souls person, totally great. But when I see 97, I think it should be moving gaming forward. And I think that Breath of the Wild sort of it took open world gaming. I think it was the proper implementation of an open world game to me in that space. But again, I'm a Zelda stan, so maybe if I was a Soul stan, I would feel differently.
And that's what I was getting. That's what I was getting at, Everborn, is that's the different perspective, right? Because there's going to be Souls fans that tell you that this does move it forward, because if it does not handhold, and you're absolutely correct, you are throwing out there like a newborn babe, and you're supposed to find your way, especially if you've never played a Souls game or have very limited experience. However, if you do take the time and patience, you do find a rhythm within the battle itself, and understanding how the different weapons work, how the different magic works against certain enemies. That in itself is a leap forward in a lot of ways compared to the hand holding we do get in other games, or just the general basic RPG fighting core systems that we get in, like, let's say, in Elder Scrolls, which I personally enjoy the heck out of. But this game does have a rhythm to it, and there is a rhythm to the battles. It's just not what we're all used to. This is different. This is like going back to Ninja Gaiden on the Nintendo, on NES, right? We murdered ourselves time and time again, had to start the game over time and time and time again, and we continue to do it. Souls games are no different. It's just in a different way.
The controls were good in Ninja Gaiden.
That's
the difference.
here's the deal. I don't have any problems with the Souls controls outside of the horse fighting. I will say is lackluster. The horse fighting is nowhere near what it should be for a game of this caliber. Okay, they did not change anything there. It feels like I'm playing Elder Scrolls all over again. again, right? So for me, I just, like I said, I understand completely where you're coming from, Everborn, because I'm not a Souls fan, so I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just saying that there are going to be people out there who can give the same types of examples you can on Zelda for this game as to why it should be considered a game of the generation or have generational type scores. Now we'll see. We'll find out if this game is remembered at the end of the day. We've got a lot of new people jumping on for the first time, right? But will we still be talking about it like a Breath of the Wild is talked about later down the road, like a Skyrim is 10 years later with anniversary editions, right? Will we still be hearing about this Elden Ring? Will this open up the genre to more games of this ilk? Will From Software, continue down this road with open world? Will that in itself push it forward? We don't know. We got to kind of wait and see. I just think that to dismiss it, again, the scores probably are a little bit higher than they should be, especially with the problems in there. There was some reviewers who did not mention some of the problems that were there up front. I still can't get online. That's still a bug that's been there from day one, right? So I still can't get online. Right.
Yeah.
So some of that stuff was forgiven, right? And I agree with you. I agree with you. So, but at the end of the day, I can just see why Souls players are absolutely loving this. It's a brand new kind of experience for them compared to what they're used to. They already love the genre. They're going to love this even more because it is just a greater scope type experience than they're used to. I can see where it's coming from. And it is giving people like myself a chance to jump into it. Again, whether or not I ever finish it, whether or not I go through with it, we'll find out. But it did give me a fifth chance at this point with a Souls game because of that aspect. So it has done some good. So we'll see.
I've never heard anybody say fifth time.
So, and once again, I don't want anybody in the chat to think that this is like some dog pile on Elden Ring. It is not. I don't think anybody, excuse me, I don't think anybody in here is actually anti Elden Ring.
I am. I'll say it. Send your death threats to Everborn Saga on Twitter.
Everyone diving on that hill. He's dying on the hill. He's not playing. He is laying on that grenade. He is not getting up. I promise. So that's fine. And once again, that's okay. That's completely okay. I'm just curious. The energy is just curious about like where it's coming from and like, who it's coming from. So just my curiosity was piqued in how the game was received compared to some other, large titles that usually have, this type of hype surrounding them. Now, once again, to be fair and to be 100% transparent, I haven't played the game, nor am I a big Souls fan either. So once again, I'm speaking from a very limited perspective here. Once again, I'm just curious about everything surrounding.
You know why I'm so upset?
Because
if this got a 97,
tell us why you mad. Tell us why you mad.
I'll tell you why I'm mad, son. If this got a 97, Halo should have got 104. Is why I'm upset, and I just know that Starfield is gonna get a different level of scrutiny than this got.
So my thing is, let's ask that question. We got a little time. We might be we'll diverge topics here, but let's ask that question. And I asked you this, Fuzz. I actually text messaged you this question, and I asked Pong as well.
Mm-hmm.
How because people immediately made that connection. People are like, oh well, this came out and way exceeded the bar. What's going to happen with Starfield? Why that question next? Why that thought next, Everborn? I'm asking you this specifically. Why the concern for Starfield due to Elden Ring?
Because we know that there is a certain tax on some of these things, right? And certain things get graded with a curve. And I think that like if we just look at the games that get dinged for technical issues versus the games that don't, it's usually Xbox games that where they'll say, hey, I would have gave this a higher score, but it had this bug and that bug, right? So you don't hear that. You didn't hear that at all, even though Elden Ring has performance issues. You didn't even hear about the texture pop and some of the stuff that you see in Horizon Forbidden West. And don't get me started on Cyberpunk.
That's
right?
Facts.
So why is it that Halo or some of these other Xbox games will get dinged for technical issues where the other ones, they just enjoy it? And I want to be very clear. I'm a big boy. These games are complex. I know they will have bugs. If they're not game-breaking bugs, we can live with them, and that's fine. But let's not decide we're going to take off points for some and points for the other. And again, it's not about that, right? And I feel like the way I'm talking, it sounds like I'm upset with Metacritic, and because I hate it when people get upset about Metacritic because they choose when they're upset with Metacritic. So many people run with a Metacritic score to Twitter, and then as soon as it's a game that they like, or from a game from a platform that they like that gets a low or a high score, then they change their stance on whether it matters or not. So I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm just saying, when you are this high, when your score is this high, you should be the creme de la creme, and anyone should be able to come in. All gamers should be able to come in and enjoy this thing. And I just feel like I don't like the talk, and I don't think the energy will be the same. And Starfield, the reason people bring up Starfield is because Starfield, especially before the acquisition, was a game that was similarly hyped to Elden Ring because it won the most anticipated game the prior year, right? So this is the game everyone is talking about. Everyone, even after Microsoft bought Bethesda, was like, no way they could keep that exclusive. Everyone is talking about it. It's been on people's minds for nearly a decade. It is a similarly hyped game. So with all that love and goodwill that From Software has, does Bethesda, now owned by Microsoft, still have that love and goodwill?
Yes.
No. They do. They do.
Will they
yes.
when it comes to the reviews?
Yes, they will. And I'll tell you why. Because they have been forgiven in the past for their bugs as well. They have been given Game of the Years for buggy messes that came out. They were known as Bugfesda. I understand that, but everybody still loves Elder Scrolls. Everybody still loves Todd Howard and his A-team. Okay, so there will be, if Starfield comes out and it's more polished than any other Bethesda title has been, which we believe it will. That doesn't mean it's bug-free by any stretch of the imagination. But if it is more polished, and this past year that they've taken to do this makes it a better experience, they will be back up. If it wasn't for Elden Ring, Starfield would be back up for Game of the Year considerations, and they may still be able to sneak in there with Starfield if they blow everybody's socks off, because the one thing that Starfield can do that Elden Ring can't is scope. And what is going to be the potential winning moment for them is that entering into outer space, leaving the atmosphere, that wow moment for everybody when everybody realizes how big the universe is.
I bet you they'll explain how to fly.
Maybe. No, they will. They will. But the point being is the size and scope of Starfield could still get them into the Game of the Year considerations. And I think that's why everybody turned to the Starfield question, is because everybody was just assuming that it was going to be Starfield up there for Game of the Year because of how well received Bethesda titles from Todd Howard and his A-team in the past have been. Again, Fallout 76 was not his A-team. All the reviewers, everybody in this industry knows that. He put his name on it. He took the lumps for it, but that was not his A-team. Everybody is waiting on Starfield because, again, that team creates generational type games. We're talking about Skyrim getting its 10th anniversary this year, still getting new releases again, just like Grand Theft Auto, right? So we're talking about generational type games. So everybody's hyped about it. They will forgive him. Like I said, especially if it comes out more polished than any game before, the scores will be high on Starfield. Guaranteed. It will not get the Microsoft, down vote.
The Microsoft stink.
Right, exactly. They will not. Yeah. They will be an exception to that rule for sure.
That's going to be interesting to see, because I think it can easily go both ways. Because I feel like there's the one thing that you don't have with From Software, you don't have that group of people that are like waiting for the From Software, waiting for Elden Ring to like fail. I don't feel like you get that sense from people. Like, there was nobody waiting for Elden Ring to drop for From Software to drop the ball. Like,
they were like, just tell me when I can give it
exactly.
a 10. I don't got to play.
You have people doing that with Starfield. They're like, well, let this buggy mess come out and we'll see what it is, right? Like, there's people that already feel like that, regardless of what we've seen.
I don't think that would be the case if it was multiplayer.
Well, I mean, you mean, I mean that there's a case can be made. I mean, this is a slippery slope, and we'll get to everybody here. I want to make sure that we do. Let's go ahead and actually go over. Ham, did we get to you? I want to make sure, brother. And we get your opinion. Go ahead, bro. So you next, man.
All right. So first thing I'm gonna say is I really wish on Metacritic they'd add a new feature called bug meter. and whether this game has a lot of bugs or if it's perfectly polished or whatnot, because I feel like it's kind of rough to knock a game for the bugs on the complete review of it. But I mean, I personally haven't played this game. I've just been hearing a lot of people say, oh, you pass on this game with bugs, but not this game. Kind of like what you guys just got done describing here just recently. So like, it is kind of weird what games they kind of pick and choose to say this is bad, this is good, and they both have bugs. But I also don't really give a crap about Metacritic that much.
True.
I come from the time where I went to Blockbuster and looked behind the case, or looked in Game Informer magazine, or nowadays I mean I still don't really pay attention to Metacritic. I still go to YouTube and look at the gameplay, and that tells me enough if I want to get the game or not. I don't have to get it day one, and that's how I feel about this current game, is because I'm not a Souls guy. I know I'm not a Souls guy. So like, I want to see other people playing this, seeing what they're saying. Everborn kind of speaks the way I feel about other games, but Pong kind of gives me some sort of excitement. But then again, that's always Pong. Pong always gets me excited. So I don't really know what to believe at this point. I'm just kind of like sitting back, just kind of watching and seeing if it's worth my money. But I have Dying Light to play. I have Forbidden West to play. I just got Leisure Suit Larry for the Xbox original, and Maximum Carnage for the Genesis. I mean, I got a lot of games to play, so I'm not in dire need to hop into a game that I know is going to be nothing but punishment.
Yeah, so. I'm really like what do you call it? Double dutching this thing. I'm really like I've sat on that Elden Ring like purchase screen like 3 separate times, and I'm in and out on this thing. 1 second I'm like, man, I'm definitely gonna do this, and then the next second I'm like, I'm only gonna put 2 hours in this, and I'm probably not gonna touch it after that. So I'm all over the place, just like everybody else with this Ham. So
I'm just mad that I got caught up in the hype. That's all. Don't listen to me.
I mean, you only got to
I knew I shouldn't have bought this game, but I was like 97. This can't be right. I got to see what this is about.
Man, I seen that, and I showed my lady the trailer, and she's like, "Oh, that's cool." And I was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna wait." She wasn't that excited, but when I showed her the Halo trailer, she was jumping up and down. So I had to buy that. And I'm not saying Halo is better, because I mean, like I said, I'm not even really a Souls guy, but I'm just gonna say that I don't put my money on Metacritic because I know that's not telling the full story.
Yeah, no, and once again, I think Pong made a great opinion. Ultimately, these are everybody's opinions, right? Like at the end of the day, this is one person's perspective on
another
the game.
Human. Yep.
Yeah. So, no, I get it. So, you were saying something, Everborn?
No, I was just saying it's not really about the aggregate score, right? Because everyone gave it a perfect score, right? So even if we go and individually look at these scores, the way it is talked about is as though it is pushing the medium forward. It is generation defining, and I just don't think it's that.
That's fair. Again, that's okay, because I don't. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not as brave as you, maybe, because I'm trying to figure this thing out, really, because I don't want to be that guy. But no, but ultimately, that's how I feel. Like I don't. Generation defining is a bit of a stretch, like, because when you say generation defining, like that's some like GTA level.
Yeah, I was gonna say, y'all check this out real quick. So it's in the same, it's in the same company as Super Mario Galaxy, Galaxy 2, Red Dead Redemption 2,
Halo,
Grand Theft Auto
Combat
5,
Evolved,
Halo,
I don't think it's
Breath of the Wild. Like to me, when I seen Breath of the Wild, when I seen Perfect Dark, when I seen Red Dead Redemption 2, I thought, Grand Theft Auto, I thought those were generational. When I seen Elden Ring, I was just like, nah.
See, that's because of perception, right? Because I can say the exact same thing about Zelda and the Super Marios, right? I can say the exact same thing, right? That's all I'm saying. Yeah. It just comes from that perspective. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, it's all subjective. This is art. It's all subjective. Yeah. So at the end of the day.
No, I get it. Let's get to Fuzz here. We haven't heard your opinion. We'll get some other topics here, some quick things. But go ahead, Fuzz.
As the kids would call it, a volcano hot take, I guess. Mm-hmm. All right. So for me, much like Ham, I have Dying Light 2 and Horizon Forbidden West as my open world games right now, and I got to finish one of those before I add to my backlog of another open world game.
Man, I'm telling you.
But I kind of saw long ago that this isn't going to be a game for me because I'm not a Souls guy. The closest I've ever played a Souls game was Surge and Surge 2. And I know, they're not a From Software game. They're not technically a Dark Souls game, but it's kind of along that same genre. And it had a sci-fi element, which was the appeal to me because I love hack and slash, but Dark Souls never, and any of the variants, Bloodborne, Demon Souls, none of those had a visual appeal to me, not one iota. So Surge and Surge 2, having that sci-fi element, I figured I'd give it a try. And there are parts of it that it's like, oh yeah, rewarding. You get past this boss, and then it's like, oh, I die at this boss, but trying to run back to get to that second boss, and the ads that you were wiping out with 2 hits are now killing you. So it's like, I wound up breaking a controller at that point. It's not for me. Now, with a lot of people, as far as reviewers, saying it's more accessible, it's open world, so you can level up and take a different approach. Yeah, that's great. And that's probably what I would wind up doing. I would probably do like Pong and be like a level 40 in the same original area or the opening area.
I'm in an area I'm not supposed to be in, Fuzz. That's how I'm leveling up right now. I'm not supposed to be. I'm getting one shot if I mess up. So,
but see, those are the things I would try because with an open world, I'm going to go to the hardest area and try to get that extra XP by just, taking the attacking plants. If there was something that was that low of a level compared to a boss, I'll attack those and get the 10,000 XP for killing one of those plants, as opposed to the plant in the original opening area being only 100 XP or something along those lines. But for me right now, it's not the game for me. So I'm gonna wait until it's on sale or until it's in Game Pass to even bother looking at purchasing or giving it a try or whatnot. There are a lot of appealing things from people I trust and respect their opinions or views on games that have been saying as far as things to try and different approaches to it. But I'm gonna hold off on it for now. But as far as the scores and being a generational game, I'll disagree in the sense that I don't see it as a generational game because I said this hot take in the DMs. I think people forget about this in 3 months. Honestly, once this glow of newness, as far as a Souls newness type of thing wears off, no one's going to talk about it. It'll be forgotten about in 3 months, and
that's pretty
something
bleak,
like Atomic Heart will be
pretty dark. That's a hot take right there.
It's not a slight to the game, but I think a lot of people are caught up in the hype primarily because it is a different take on a Souls game to some extent. And we saw this with Sekiro. Now, that's not to say that it won't win Game of the Year, because Sekiro won Game of the Year. But I think this is going to be one of those that the fans of Souls games are going to love this, and they'll continue to talk about it. But we already hear them talking about it. We already hear them talking about Demon Souls. But how many people do you follow still talk about Demon Souls unless you are that Souls fan? Nobody. I don't see anybody on my timeline talking about it anymore. And that was like, oh, it's a Sony PS5 exclusive. I don't see anybody doing gameplay. I haven't seen it in over a year. So I think this will be not a victim of the same circumstance, but I think this has that broader appeal because of the influence of those reviews. and I'm not going to say people are getting suckered into buying it, but I think there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be tempted to pick it up primarily because of that, and then realize, oh yeah, this is a Souls game. I'm getting my ass handed to me. I'm going to put this down, and then never go back to it. And then, on occasion, you'll find one or two people that will go back to it, like maybe a year or so later, and they're like, oh yeah, now I realize how to play. You got to run around in your underwear, roll around on the floor, and then sneak up behind them and stab them in the back. Okay, that's fine. That's not for me right now. But I think this deserves to be in the Game of the Year conversation. But we all see a lot of games that come out early, not quite make it to the end of the year where it's still in the conversation, especially when there's a lot of high profile games coming out throughout this year. So I would say from a defining thing as far as this generation, it's been exposed to more, or it's been made slightly more mainstream than it ever has been before. And that's a good thing, because at least people that haven't given a Souls game a try before now have that opportunity to see firsthand for themselves. And if anything, this would be probably the easier, one to, dip your big toe in type of deal to start off with. So applause to From Software on that. But outside of, the hype right now, I think once the buzz wears off, which I foresee in 3 months, everybody will be talking about Atomic Heart or Plague's Tale Requiem or something along those lines. And those will be the ones that give Starfield a better run for its money in comparison.
Or Ragnarok, if it comes out.
And that's if that makes it this year, but
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That's what's
and that one I can foresee being in the conversation as well.
Kind of for that now.
I don't know. But on to Starfield, and this is probably a hot take for me as well. I think it tops out at an 88, much like Horizon Forbidden West, and it will have less bugs than Horizon Forbidden West has at launch. I think it's just a matter of it will be too big of a game for certain reviewers. There's going to be a lot of people that love this game. You're going to see 9s and 10s from some of the bigger outlets, but some of the smaller outlets may give it a lower score because it's going to be overwhelming. I think Starfield is going to be like, and this is a weird view on it, but I think it's going to be a Mass Effect on crack, not in the sense of it's crazy and completely mind blowing or whatever type of deal, but I think it's going to be to the point where it's not going to do as much hand holding and explaining of things, and people are going to get lost and get frustrated. I think it's going to be that large of a scope of a game. So for the bigger outlets that are used to Bethesda game or RPG in general, or space sci-fi RPG in general, I think they'll be fine. But I think maybe a smaller outlet where they might be more into a Breath of the Wild type of deal where, yeah, it's a big open world, but it's a much smaller scope in comparison to the entire universe. I think that's where it will take some hits. And I figure with the year that they kind of delayed it, because we heard rumors it was going to be ready in 2021, I think it will be well polished, and I won't say bug free, because I don't think you can make a game bug free these days, but it will definitely be a smoother launch than I'll say Forbidden West was, and it'll just take the hit on from smaller outlets being confused or overwhelmed per se. But that's my 2 cents on the whole matter.
In other words, it won't get a 97.
Go ahead, Ham.
Pong, I got a quick question for you. Are you into driving games?
Yes.
You love driving games?
Yes. I play a lot of
them.
Okay.
What's that?
Yeah, I play a lot of them. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, being a person that loves driving games, would you say that Forza Horizon 5 was a game that brought people that weren't into driving into the game?
Absolutely. 100%.
Do you think Elden Ring does the same thing for Souls games?
From what I've seen, yes. Will it have the same effect overall? We're going to have to wait and see, because like I said, I do believe that the initial push of this game, which is causing all this stir and all this buzz right now, there are going to be a big percentage of people who drop off, who realize that Souls games just aren't for them, despite all the hype. Right? they're gonna come to the realization, even in an open world aspect. I don't think it has the broader appeal that a Forza Horizon does, even though they've done a great job with this open world. I still don't think it because there's still going to be a lot of frustrating moments for people.
It's still
Unlike
Souls.
Forza Horizon, it's still a Souls
still
game.
Souls
at its heart.
game, yeah.
Yeah. I just think there's going to be a larger percentage of people who go, yeah, nope, that's great, but yeah, I'm never going back to Souls game and I'm not going to play this. Whereas Forza Horizon, I think for the masses, has a lot more appeal and is a lot easier to get into, right? Because you can play it in so many different ways. Whereas ultimately in this game, you're still going to wind up having to beat those bosses if you want to progress at some point, right? Yeah. No matter what you do, you're going to have to go and learn how to fight. And a lot of people are going to be at that point. Nah, I'm out.
Yeah.
That's safe for me.
So this is so this is why, I mean, to me, this is why none of this Metacritic stuff makes any sense at all, because you already said that, Forza is more easy for the masses to play.
Absolutely.
You already 100%. Said it's like a really enjoyable game.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know Souls games are fairly niche games. Mm-hmm. Yet games like Sekiro can get Game of the Year, and games like Forza can't even get in the discussion. And that's why I don't take Game Awards or Metacritic or any of these things too serious. And I mean, they're nice to look at, and they're nice to, give a hand to like Naughty Dog. Oh, good job. You did awesome. This game is actually pretty cool. Or, I mean, Elden Ring, I'm sure it is pretty dope. And if you're trying to get in and you can kind of figure it out, sure, it may be great. But like, I just cannot stress enough that people should not buy a game based on a score that's, could be skewed possibly. You don't know.
We see this happen in every entertainment industry, right, Ham? There's critics that love certain small budget indie
earlier today.
Indie movies that get awards that none of us are ever going to watch.
Literally going to make that I was literally going to that was going to be my final thing to wrap this up.
The award.
Right,
what the
exactly.
Hell is this? Like, 10 people watch this movie and it won an Academy Award? Like, what
right, exactly. That's the whole thing. We see this in entertainment all the time because critics and reviewers sometimes think of themselves in a much bigger light than they actually are. And we know that ego plays into a lot of it. And we all know that that's human nature, no matter what we do. And they want to make themselves more important than they actually are. So they give things that may be more niche or may not be mainstream more credit than they should. And that happens everywhere in all entertainment. So yeah, games are no different.
What I don't want to do is take any credit away from or anything like that. I know this has kind of been we do this on the show. So if you're new here, appreciate you for hanging out with us this long. But once again, ultimately, we're still giving proper credit for From Software for coming out, making this fantastic game. Deserves all the praise it is getting. It still requires a shit ton of hard work to make a game of this scale and for it to have this kind of reception. This doesn't happen often, and there's a reason why.
And games have consistently gotten good scores. Exactly. This one is a little bit higher, but they've consistently been in the high 80s to low 90s every single game that they basically make, especially out of the Souls series. So even the first Demon Souls, that was way different from anything what people had played at that time, still scored high. And reviewers back then, I remember reading the reviews. Reviewers were like, this is a very hard game. This is not for the faint of heart. Do not, this game don't think you're going to come in here like a normal RPG. This is like a totally different style than we're used to in the games industry. So even then they were giving it a high score.
But see, now I'm seeing what Everborn is saying now, because if we're going to give a game this much of a jump of a score for a sequel, for kind of a sequel-ish game, I shouldn't say a sequel, or for a sequel-ish game where it's like kind of different completely, you look at Halo and you're like, why is it so close to Halo 5's Metacritic? And everybody knows Halo Infinite's way better. So that's, no matter how you put it,
and they added an open world.
Yeah. No matter how you put it, none of this stuff makes sense.
And it's a Halo-ass Halo, and it might be one of the best Halos ever made.
So I have this theory. I have this theory that there's something about a cinematic game that draws people in, a game that plays more like a movie.
But here's the thing. This Elden Ring doesn't play like a movie.
Well,
there's no story there.
Where I'm going, the Lord of the Rings ish type, the lore here, or George R.R. Martin, Game of Thrones, that whole picture. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. I understand it's not quite a movie. Like, you couldn't probably make Elder Scrolls a movie. Maybe you could, but I'm just saying, like, there's a magic around that, like that's created. It's kind of like Disney. Like, there's people that go crazy for Disney movies. And you're like, I'm not that thrilled. It's just some magic behind it that surrounds the idea. And I think that happens a lot. And it happened a lot with this game. I think just based on my reception, based on what I've seen, just there seems to be just this magic surrounding like FromSoft games. There's this hardcore group of people that really enjoy it. They're really vocal about that. There's really you're either in or you're out. There's no in between if you're a Souls fan or not. So I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, Everborn.
No. So, Pong, you have probably more hours in this thing than me. And so you can tell me if there's actually a narrative that opens up, but there's literally some still screens and a really good voice actor in the beginning. And that's kind of it. You're in the world. The enemies aren't talking to you. You just go around and you find fights, and it doesn't feel like there's a story there. It's this kind of thing where we want you to assume there's a story going on. We're just not going to tell you, just like we're not going to tell you how the controls work or how anything works. So it's like even the story is hidden from you.
Well, it's not hidden. Okay, look, you're going to get the story. This is hard to put. You're right that it's more lore based, right? It's not a cinematic experience where you get a bunch of cutscenes as you go through. Not at least that I've seen yet. What you do get though is that when you are resting at a grace point, you can talk to Melina and she will tell you more things about kind of some of the stuff that's going on, and you actually meet another group of individuals like yourself at this it's like a safe house that's outside of the realm that you're currently in, and you could talk to them and they tell you some things. But no, is it one of those, like a Sony game, like one of those Sony games where they're giving you this almost movie-like experience? No, a lot of it is fill in the blanks as you go through. And yes, you kind of have to kind of piece it together in your own mind. It's not straightforward. It's not that type of experience.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I only say that, and which by the way, that's fine. But I'm saying, I know what you mean in terms of the sort of movie style experience. And I think that that's generally true, but I don't even think that is the case here.
So what else could it be though? Like I said, the only thing I can compare it to is that like that Disney like magic where people are just enthralled with, they're completely invested in the world, the character. I know the character, there's really no name or face, but like there's something about it that draws people in and makes people feel the way they feel about it.
I think it's a vocal minority that sort of is getting people caught up in a rapture. At least that's what happened to me. And I honestly think the way to solve a lot of this consternation about review scores is to actually get rid of the scores, because most people just look at the score, use it for console war ammo, or use it for buying decisions, and they don't really read the reviews. And I think if you change review systems to sort of either a recommend or non-recommend, and then have bullet points for the people that don't have time to read the whole review, I think we would have a lot more fruitful discourse about these things than a simple score. And but the score is fuel that people use that will drive clicks, so that we'll never get rid of the scores. But I think we should, if we ever want to have like meaningful conversations about these reviews, because people should read.
That's tough. I don't know if that'll ever happen. Now,
reading is tough.
Reading is fundamental.
Right.
So I had actually planned for us to maybe to possibly take some questions here, but I don't want to run too long. I knew that topic. I saved it for last on purpose because I knew we were going to get pretty deep into that topic. So that actually brought us right up until the end of the show. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here, chat. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. You guys are amazing every single weekend. You guys coming out. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Obviously, we had two awesome guests. One brand new, the other have been here multiple times before, but I'll let them get into that. Once again, guys, hit the link on your way out. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you have not already on your way out. Thank you guys so much. But we'll start with you, Ham. Hope you have fun on the show, man. Once again, we were talking. Yeah, appreciate you, man. Once again, this will not be the last time you guys. You guys know how this goes. You know, he is now family, so you probably will see him again sometime soon. But let everybody know where they can find you once again, Ham, and appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. What's up again, Fuzzy, Everborn, and Pong. It was awesome being on the show with you three. Fuzzy and PTK. Yeah, we need to get on that Behind Them Sticks show sometime soon. So I'll be hitting you guys up sometime soon. But anyways, yeah, if you guys want to reach me, you can find me on Twitter at HamSolo05Gaming. And then if you want to check out my show Behind Them Sticks or keep up on the incoming content that comes to the YouTube channel, TSWS Gaming is where you're going to be able to find me, Loke, and Kalela talk about gaming. I recently had Pong on the show. A little while ago, I had Everborn on there. And like I said, more people coming soon. But yeah, keep up with me on Twitter if you want to check out what's coming. So thank you for your time, y'all. I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. Once again, if you guys are a fan of this show, please do me a favor, as I ask from you every week, every time we have a guest on. Please, we got to show proper love and support to these awesome content creators. It is not easy putting together a weekly show or just really doing a show in general. So please go out, show some support to Ham Solo, the entire podcast, everything they have going over there. You guys are awesome and amazing. And please do me that favor and go support what they got going on. And once again, Ham, thank you so much, brother, for coming on the show, man. So we're gonna go ahead and switch lanes over here to Mr. Everborn Saga. Once again, my brother on the East Coast. Appreciate you, my guy. I had to flip the camera on, I see.
Oh, yeah. No. I just wanted to show the people
do your thing, brother. Do
what is coming, right? This is the sample print. Like I said, if you supported the campaign, you go check your email inbox right now. You have this book, but physical copies will be going out very shortly. And I apologize for my camera, but you can see we got a whole lot of good stuff going on in here. So
high quality stuff too, by the way.
Quality, as they say. But yeah, man. And I just want to show you guys one thing in here. You guys know Gamer MD on Twitter. He supported that Everborn tier, and this is his character that will be showing up later in the book. So when we do another Kickstarter,
I gotta
this
get
is
in
the kind
something.
of thing that you can get done for you.
Nice.
That's awesome.
All right. So, yeah, check out everbornsaga.com. We are going to be releasing this book very soon so that you can buy it if you missed the Kickstarter. I just have to get some prints in, and then I will make it available for sale. But everbornsaga.com, keep an eye out there and just follow me on Twitter to know when we officially release it. And if you supported the campaign, like I said, check your email inbox, and physical copies will be going out very shortly.
Appreciate you, man. And once again, congratulations on everything going on at the house, you and wifey and the family. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you hanging out, brother. Once again, you know you're always welcome here anytime, you know. So appreciate you taking some time out to hang out with us this weekend. So let's go ahead and move over to my compadres here. Shout out to you, Mr. Pong Harvey, every week bringing the energy. This week, I know you were a little bit I'm looking for the word here, reserved this week, I should say. little bit more of a reserve. Yeah, definitely.
Nah. You know what? You know what? When it got somebody else like Everborn on that can talk, I have to watch myself. Otherwise, this turns into a 3.5 hour living split.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate
or 4
appreciate
hours as it was this morning.
Yeah. I appreciate the restraint.
No, this was a great show. Thank you, everybody. Ham, of course, amazing, man. Again, everybody go check out Ham Solo and what he's got going on. Love having you here, brother. Everborn, always, man. The discussions are fantastic and off the charts when you come in. Love hearing.
Still didn't appreciate that Zelda slander, but we're gonna let it slide for tonight.
Again, I still respect its place in history at the end of the day. So that's just me, though. But no, I love hearing the different conversations and different thoughts that come from the guests. But both of you just have fantastic viewpoints, and I always love bouncing off of you. So thank you so much for being here, Fuzzy PTK. You know what it is, brothers. Favorite place to be is right here on Saturday night. So, man, amazing show. Chat, you guys are awesome. Again, incredible discussions. Love when you guys are getting involved with what we're talking about here. That means we're doing our job and firing you guys up as well to talk about these things. Whether you agree, disagree, or somewhere in the middle, it don't matter. That is a part of this show as well. So thank you. Thank you. Love and respect for all of you being here. Look, Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter, you guys all know that drill. Follow me. I will follow you back. Otherwise, catch me on Tuesday on the Xbox Factor podcast. I may not be there this week, but it's always a good show over at Double Barrel Gaming. Mr. Boomstick, you know it. He brings it each and every week. We got Mav when he's available. Archimedes is there as well. We've got Mr. Joanna Dark, and Boom has now added VJ. That's right, Viewpoint Gaming VJ, the knowledgeable one, is on Xbox Factor Podcast Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. I will have another show during the week, but it has not been announced yet, so I never like to give up that surprise. So just keep your eyes open on my Twitter. Obviously, you'll see it go out, and I'll retweet it, but there is another one coming in between there. Thursday nights, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM, two-man show normally. Sometimes we have guests, as we have in the past year, Boom and Colt Eastwood. But look, normally it's just me and Mav deep diving 1, 2, maybe 3 topics. So hop over to Fun Speculations channel, PM in the PM, Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Be there. We are having a great time over there. Just killer chat each and every week that we started this. So join us there. Friday nights back on Fun Speculation for Xbox Ultimate, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. The Great 8, even though we don't usually have all 8 together because everybody's life is so dang busy all the time. But Mav has great guests on. Steel was on last night. So please go check out Xbox Ultimate on Fun Speculation channel. Saturday mornings, living split screen. Split screen is all one word. We are on Mission 1K. Me, my brother from another, Steel Rain. Mission 1K. We want to hit 1,000. We're approaching 500 as we speak. Please bring a friend, tell them to check us out. Over 4-hour podcast today. Again, we don't expect everybody to stay all that time, but if you can, great. If you can't, so be it. But have us on in the background while you're doing your Saturday chores, waking up, whatever you're doing, because Steele and I are going to bring that live, raw, and uncut energy, like he says. Look, we just have great conversations about all things in the gaming industry and even conversations about what's going on in this community. Jump in, living split screen, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. And then I will be back right here again next week, God willing, on the Shop Podcast with these amazing folks here. Look, it's the golden age of gaming. If you can't tell that, I'm just going to keep telling you anyways. So guess what? Golden age of gaming is here. Play what you love what you play. No better time to be a gamer ever in history than right now. Don't let anybody kill your hype. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. If you enjoy whatever you enjoy, don't let somebody else come in and say, you're not supposed to like that. Like it, love it, play it, and I'll talk to you all real soon.
Appreciate you, Pong, every single week, man. A battery of the Shop podcast, man. And we're going to smooth this thing out before we wrap it up here. Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. Let everybody know where they can find you. Appreciate you being here every single week, man. Bringing that nice steadiness to the show.
Man, I want to thank you guys for having me on. It was awesome having Ham Solo and Everborn on here. You guys rock, man. Awesome viewpoints, awesome feedback on everything. Can't wait to have you guys back on here. PTK and Pong, you're like family, or you are family. So it's like always awesome. Just kick back, talk shop with you guys, and and dive into our favorite hobby here. But for anybody out there that wants to hear my ramblings in gaming, whether it be Forza or King of Fighters or whatnot, you can find me on Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. On Mondays, you can find me with Mav on Fun Speculations channel doing tidbits, which are the weekly game releases. On Friday mornings, you can find me on Breakfast with Boom with Mr. Boomstick, with Dreadpool, Crispy Bomb, Mr. Badbit, and sometimes Big Cloud Gaming. And then on earlier on Saturdays, you can find me on Fun Speculations channel on FSP Podcast with Mav and Just Key, just talking about, the 3 different platforms, well, actually 4 different platforms, whether it be Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, or even PC. But always look forward to Saturday nights with you guys. Thanks.
Appreciate you, man. Every single week for us, bringing that energy. Thank you so much, man. And last but not least, your boy PTK Blam across the board here. Hit me up on Xbox Live to play some games at any point in time. Hit me up on Twitter if you guys want to know what's going on with just me individually, host of the show, as well as just the Shock Podcast in general. Thank you guys for coming out every single week supporting the show. So same time, same place, new guests next week. See you guys then. Enjoy your weekend. Play some video games. Have some fun. Peace out, everyone.